So you did the test and then you did the online mock audition, which was basically a game of Jeopardy. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so once you do the online test, there's one further stage where you do a second written online test that's proctored on Zoom. But if you pass those two tests, the next stage is you might get invited to this mock gameplay audition. So before COVID, that was something that you had to go and do in person. And so I might have had to travel to like Buffalo or something. But because of COVID, I just did it from home. So there was a contestant producer on a Zoom call, and there were, I believe, 8 other prospective contestants. And we were called up in groups of 3, and we would look at this board that was being screen shared, and we'd play this mock game of Jeopardy using like whatever pen you had lying around at your desk as the buzzer. So yeah, it was super weird because obviously you're not getting an actual response, any sort of stimulus in the room telling you that you've buzzed in successfully. You just kind of have to wait for the contestant producer to call on you. So that was a little bit strange. And they're also not really at that point actually seeing who's buzzing in the fastest because they want to give everybody an opportunity to respond to some clues and show if they're going to have, a good personality for television, if they're going to move the game along quickly, that they're the sort of person who's not going to get nervous and frazzled when they're up on stage. So yeah, it was strange. I had no idea how it was going while I was doing it. I thought I did okay, not great. Evidently, I guess
they loved you.
Yeah, I was like, I guess they disagreed and thought that they wanted to put me on. So
that's so funny. So basically it wasn't a competition. It was more so to test your strength in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the point where you get to that mock gameplay audition, you've already passed 2 written tests, right? So they already know that you know your stuff. And I think that if you were to really flame out in the gameplay audition, that might, reflect poorly on your ability to handle stress. But at that point, they're much more looking for, who do we want to have on television? Who's going to be entertaining? And I think that they also want to make sure that they have a diversity of contestants too, that they have people from different age brackets, that they have people from different parts of Canada and the US, that they have people who have different types of careers as well, that they're not getting only a bunch of lawyers or only a bunch of accountants or only a bunch of teachers. They'll have some of each of those things, but they want to have some variety.
And they want to have some Canadians on the show.
Of
course. So you get the call in January and you pick up the phone. It's someone wanting to let you know that you are a contestant on Jeopardy. How does that feel? What was that call like?
Well, I was pretty sure it was a call from Jeopardy when I got it because I was thinking I never get spam calls from a Los Angeles number. So probably it's really happening to me. But I was still in shock, and they have to ask a couple of compliance questions at the beginning, to make sure that you're not secretly best friends with one of the hosts or a writer or something like that. So it started off, do you know Ken Jennings? Do you know Mayim Bialik? And I was like, no, I know who they are. I don't know them personally. They're not coming to my Thanksgiving dinner. And so after that, it's kind of, well, good news. You've responded to some more questions correctly, and we'd like to invite you to be on the show. So even though I was pretty sure when I picked up the call that that was what it was going to be, I was still completely bowled over because I had never in a million years thought that I was going to hear back. It had been at that point just over 6 months, I think, since my gameplay audition. And you remain in the pool after your gameplay audition for up to 18 months, but I just figured I wasn't waiting with bated breath for the call to come in. Basically, I thought, they audition a couple thousand people every year and they only cast about 400 to 450, depending on whether they're doing special tournaments or the length of the season and that sort of thing. So I just really never thought I was going to be the one, especially because, as I said, I thought my audition was nothing that special to write home about. So I was in shock. I think I said, I can't believe it, or this is the best news. Well, at that point it was January 5th, so I don't know what news I would have gotten before that would have been better, but I was like, this is the best news I've had all year.
Yeah. Well, COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I feel like you're approaching this with such a humble spirit. Every time I've heard you talk about the show, even just now, you're always in shock. You're always so surprised that you won a competition. You're always so surprised that you got chosen. Why do you think that is?
So I think that some people interpret me being surprised as me being not confident in my abilities, and that is not actually why. I felt definitely that Jeopardy was something I had the capacity to do well at, and if I didn't think that, I would have never auditioned, because I'm not the sort of person who is interested on going on a show and just making a complete fool of myself. I knew I could do well. But the thing is that there's so many elements of luck and things that have to go right in order for you to even get to the Jeopardy stage, let alone actually to win a game, let alone to win multiple games. So I think that anytime I'm saying I can't believe it, I literally can't believe it, not because I didn't think I had it in me, but because there was so much that was outside of my control that went into all of this happening in the way that it did. And it feels wrong to me to not acknowledge that.